From the moment Earl Campbell stepped onto an NFL field in 1978, it was clear that the Houston Oilers had just drafted a one-of-a-kind running back. Not just talented, not just strong, but physically overwhelming, mentally relentless, and practically impossible to tackle. Over the course of his first four seasons, from 1978 to 1981, Earl Campbell established himself as the most dominant force at his position in the league. Few running backs in NFL history have had a stretch like this, a combination of insane production, workload, and sheer physical dominance that forced defenses to rethink how they approached stopping the run. Earl Campbell's rookie season set the tone immediately. Coming out of the University of Texas, he had already made a name for himself as a bruising downhill runner, but translating that college dominance to the pros is always the real test. Earl Campbell passed it with flying colors. In 1978, he rushed for 1,450 yards and 13 touchdowns. For a rookie in a league full of established stars, that level of production was extraordinary. Not only was he racking up yards, but he was doing it with a style that made him uniquely difficult to defend. At around 230 pounds, with a low center of gravity and incredible leg drive, Earl Campbell combined power and balance like very few backs has ever had. When defenders wrapped him up, he kept driving, dragging tacklers for extra yards as if they were a freight train. When he broke free into the second level, his momentum made him nearly impossible to stop. Arm tackles, forget about it. This was a man built to punish defenses as much as they tried to punish him. The 1979 season took Earl Campbell's dominance up another level, rushing for 1,697 yards and 19 touchdowns, numbers that still turn heads today. To put that in perspective, breaking over 1,500 yards rushing and getting close to 20 touchdowns in a single season is extremely rare. Even in eras where the run game was central to offenses, that season Earl Campbell's dominance wasn't just about yardage, it was about control. The Oilers built their offense around him. Plays were designed to let him pound through the middle, wear down the opposing teams. Every game, defenses had to account for him, often committing extra players to stop him, and more often than not, they failed. His combination of brute force and elite bursts allowed him to not only gain yardage, but to demolish opponents. By the fourth quarter, Earl Campbell had worn down tacklers to the point where stopping him became really hard. He wasn't just winning plays, he was winning games. In 1980, Earl Campbell had arguably his most impressive season, rushing for 1,934 yards and 13 touchdowns, carrying the ball an insane 373 times. For context, today's NFL running backs hardly touch 300 carries in a season, and even then, their usage is spread around more creativity with passing options and spread formations. Earl Campbell was running in a league that emphasized power football. The Oilers' offense leaned on him almost entirely. This wasn't a running back benefiting from modern-day offensive scheming or spread formations that make the second level easier to reach. He faced stacked defensive fronts weekly, defenders whose main goal was to bring him down, and yet, despite the workload and constant physical punishment, Earl Campbell not only survived but thrived. That season, he finished second in MVP voting and won his third consecutive Offensive Player of the Year award. Simply put, The man was a machine, redefining what it meant to carry a team on your back. Even in 1981, when Earl Campbell's numbers dipped slightly to 1,376 yards and 10 touchdowns, he was still elite. Over those 4 seasons, he averaged 1,614 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, and nearly 14 touchdowns per season. Those aren't just great numbers, they're historically significant. They paint a picture of a player who was consistently dominant and could be counted on game after game, season after season, to deliver at a level most running backs could only dream of. The most remarkable things about Earl Campbell's peak was the sheer volume he handled. Carrying the ball around 300 plus times in a season is for sure a massive load, even by today's standards. But Campbell's production was never about volume padding. Each run had purpose, each carry produced results. He wasn't just a workhorse, he was the engine of an offense built around him. And despite the workload, he rarely slowed down, rarely missed a game due to injury. This level of durability and consistency at such a high level is almost unheard of in NFL history. Earl Campbell's physical traits were perfectly matched to the air he played in, around 230 pounds. He wasn't just a big guy, he was an unstoppable force who maintained balance better than anyone. Arm tackles didn't work, leg drive kept him moving forward. His burst through the hole allowed him to hit the second level quickly, and once there, defenders were often overmatched physically. Defensive backs, usually faster but smaller, simply didn't have the strength to bring him down efficiently. The mental toll on defenses wasn't just as real as the physical one. Game after game, defenders learned quickly that trying to stop Earl Campbell head on meant getting dragged for extra yardage or taken out of the play entirely. By the fourth quarter, the cumulative punishment he put on those opposing teams made stopping him even more challenging. Team context is also important. The Oilers quarterbacks during Campbell's early years were not particularly impressive, nowhere close to All-Pro or MVP status, which makes his dominance, I would say, even more striking. He was the unquestioned centerpiece of the Houston Oilers offense, carrying a system that revolved almost entirely around him. He created opportunities not just for himself, but for the passing game too. Defenses had to adjust to stop Campbell, opening up space for receivers and other players. Even when he wasn't breaking long runs, his consistent ability to generate positive yardage kept the offense on schedule, sustaining drives and controlling the clock. Campbell's peak didn't just exist in the box score, it translated to real success on the field. The Houston Oilers made 3 consecutive playoff appearances from 1978 to 1980, including back-to-back trips to the AFC Championship game in 1978 and 1979. Earl Campbell was the engine behind that success. He carried the team on his shoulders, and defenses had to respect him to the point where the Oilers could dictate the pace of the games. His ability to consistently wear down opponents and maintain high-level production game after game was central to Houston's competitiveness. What makes Earl Campbell's 1978 to 81 stretch historically significant is the combination of production, workload, and dominance against stacked defenses. There have been other great running backs. You got Walter Payton, Jim Brown, of course, Barry Sanders, but Earl Campbell's blend of power, balance, and sheer relentless volume stands out. He wasn't flashy in a way that makes highlight reels endlessly replayed, but the sheer physicality of his game left an undeniable mark on the league. Watching Earl Campbell run was like watching a force of nature. Every tackle attempt was a test, and more often than not, the defenses lost that contest. From 1978 to 1981, he was the best at his position, combining once again elite production with insane durability and physically overwhelming every defense he faced. His ability to consistently generate positive plays, wear down defenses, and carry his team to playoff success makes this period not just remarkable, but historically significant. Campbell's dominance was about more than numbers. It was about a presence on the field that forced respect, demanded attention, and changed how opponents approach every single game. Those 4 years weren't just a peak, they were a showcase of what one of the most physically gifted running backs in NFL history could accomplish when given the opportunity to shine. So that'll be it for this video. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. I much appreciate it if you click that like button. Thank you for watching.